Although this practice is not done in churches today, in most churches today, but in some of your Orthodox and in your Catholic churches, you still have this practice of incense in and around the holiest of holies. And although many people look at Leviticus and Exodus to see why and where they should use these incense, archaeology, as well as other historical information, has demonstrated that these incense, there's more to it. That maybe it was a little the high priest getting high to talk to the Most High. So on tonight's live, only on Facebook and YouTube, you can join us there at Coach Renz 33. We will be talking about how people saw that they got to God, how certain hallucinogenics that is outlawed today were utilized by ancient civilizations in order for them to be able to speak to their God. And one of the things that we have proof and information concerning is Tel Arad. Tel Arad is a fort that in and around the 700s was not so much destroyed, but decommissioned, most likely during the time frame of Hezekiah after being surrounded by the Assyrians and allowed to exist only in Jerusalem and being a vassal state paying tribute to the Assyrians. Hezekiah reorganized the Israelite religion in order for Jerusalem to be the center point. But there's a lot of information that once we have discovered Tel Arad that demonstrates what that worship most likely looked like in the holiest of holies and how they used cannabis as one of their main ways for the high priest to get high to talk to the Most High. So in the Tel Arad, holiest of holies, you have three main pillars to focus on. The big one to your left in front, the small one to your right in front, and the one that's in the back right corner, your right corner. The one in the back right corner indicates that this was the holiest of holies because of that particular stone and what it was used for. But it is the two in front that are the focal point of this discussion. The two in front were originally found on their side, which may indicate that when Hezekiah had this temple buried or covered up or decommissioned it, that he also, as it says in 2 Kings, came in and smashed the worship stones and cut down the Asherah pole or the Asherah tree. By turning these on their side, it was a focus on we're just going to pray to the one God. We want to get rid of God's wife, Asherah, his consort, Asherah. We want to get rid of her. And we talked about that in our last live this previous Wednesday on Facebook and YouTube. You can go back and watch that video. So although the actual stones are now in a museum, these replica stones have been replaced in such a way that they believe these stones were originally set up since they were just pushed over on their side. But more information is now, and for a while, the information has been around actually since the 1960s, about how these two stones represented El and his consort Asherah, and that incense were burned on these stones as a part of their ministry, a part of their worship. And the interesting thing that has been found is that this burned incense, especially on the smaller stones, this resonance is filled with THC. It's filled with CBD. It is mixed in with possible cow dung or some other animal dung in order for it to be able to burn longer and more consistently. And then basically the high priest will hotbox it. Get a hot box. Get I forgot what it's called when you're in the room with the weed and the smoke is just around you and you get that high from that. I'm not a weed smoker, so I don't know all the terminology. But they would get this weed, get this high, and they believed that this high would allow for them to be able to contact, speak with their God. This wasn't for the general public. So as that one was swinging back and forth within the church, it wasn't for the general public. It was mainly just for the priest to be able to get that high. And more of this resonance was found in the little crooks in between the top stone and the bottom stone. And even though it's one carved out stone, just to make it simple to understand, within that crevice is found a lot of the THC and CBD resin that is within that within that area. Now, the small stone had THC and CBD, whereas the large stone usually had frankincense. Now, frankincense was a more expensive stone, more expensive incense, cost more money. It was more highly regarded than the THC, but they would still get a contact. That's what I was trying to say, a contact from having the CBD, the marijuana, the cannabis that they more than likely had brought in from a different land, a different area, and brought that cannabis in order to practice their religion, practice their beliefs. Now, this is just the beginning of a discussion that we're going to have live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube, where we're going to talk about the stone ape hypothesis, but we're also going to go into how many cultures around the world, ancient cultures, use mushrooms and cannabis in the belief that they were talking to their higher deities, higher gods. And we will discuss what the reality is, as there has been many studies done on psilocybin from universities like Johns Hopkins, and we'll talk about the results of those, as well as how other ancient cultures looked at the magic mushroom and cannabis and how they were able to speak to the gods and what the reality is. So join me tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. You are more than welcome to participate in the discussion. We will allow for people to dial in or, well, pop onto the show if you have information that you also want to add, or if you want to speak against it, it's fine as well. So join us tonight. Coach Renz 33 on Facebook and YouTube. The name of the channels are Deconstructing Christianity. We look forward to the discussion. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.